right, welcome. So that is a quick demonstration of the basic idea we're working on here today. This is an exercise that accomplishes a couple things. First of all, it helps to incorporate fills into your playing, but more specifically to practice transitioning from playing a groove on the low strings to playing fills on the high strings. It's also going to help with developing your facility and comfort in both hands, especially when playing somewhat faster lines. It's going to improve your knowledge of scales and how they relate to chords. There's an element of ear training, and this is going to help prepare to improvise with some new vocab. So a lot's happening here. Let's go ahead and get into the exercise itself. The basis of this is breaking a scale into groups of 3 notes. Now, this is something that so many musicians in so many styles practice. The basic idea is if we take a scale, like right now I'm using the C sharp minor, beyond playing it up and down, we can play groups of 3 or 4 or 5 notes or more. Let me demonstrate descending with groups of 3 notes. So what am I doing? Well, I'm playing down 3 notes, starting on different scale degrees. If I start on the octave, simply going down the scale, 1, 7, 6. Now I reset and I start on the 7th scale degree, 7, 6, 5. Now I reset and I descend starting on the 6th scale degree, 6, 5, 4, 5, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1. You get the idea. And of course you can ascend as well. This is something that people practice a lot. Now, just like with playing a scale up and down, if you go into a musical context, like you're playing along with a song, and you simply play up and down the scale, it's not going to sound very musical. The same is true here. If you simply go up and down a scale with 3-note groupings for a significant number of notes, it's going to start to sound like an exercise. So in practice, what we actually do is we just take a little cross-section of this. Let me show you how to take just 2 groups of 3 notes and use that to build a fill. So where do fills happen? They happen at the ends of phrases. Let's say you want to play a fill at the end of every other measure. And let's say we're going to start it on beat 3, which is a pretty good common place to start a fill. An easy way to make this fit is to play it as 16th notes. 3E and a 4E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1, 2. Now I'm playing it swung, but you could play it straight. Doesn't matter, it's just 16th notes. 3E and a 4E. Why don't we try just that much? Let's take 2 measures of music and let's play a simple groove. We'll say quarter notes on the root. C sharp minor of the C sharp minor quarter scale. And every other measure on beat 3 will play this fill. 2, 3, 4. Okay, you get the idea. Now it's starting to sound pretty cool, right? That's a little fill. We can make this slightly more sophisticated by using anticipations in our rhythm. You don't have to, but you can. So if you're not familiar with an anticipation, it's simply a musical term for beginning a phrase slightly before a beat rather than right on a beat. This can help to give the music a sense of forward motion because we're leading into a beat rather than just starting on it. Often, if we're starting a lot of our phrases right on the beat or focusing on the beat, it can feel pretty stiff, at least in many styles of music. So anticipations are a way to get away from that stiffness. Now, an easy way to do that is simply to play the first note twice instead of one time, with the first time you strike it being an anticipation. Let me show you what that means. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. In context, it sounds like this. Okay, just sounds a little bit different than starting it on the beat. You don't have to do it, but it's a way to add a different element to your playing. And in a lot of genres, that's seen as maybe a slightly more sophisticated phrasing. Whether or not you believe that yourself, well, that's for you to decide. So we've got this up and running, and of course now we can play more involved grooves. So in the intro, I demoed this groove that was more of like a ghost note funk thing. It's just root notes and then some ghost notes. We won't break that down in too much detail. That might be for another video, but you can add ghost notes in a lot of ways. Basically, general idea is line up the notes with the kick drum, and the ghost notes can lead into those kick notes. Now, a quick technique note, you'll notice I'm playing the ghost notes on the higher strings and leading in by raking to the actual notes. That's a really common approach that can feel a little bit more comfortable once you get it up and running compared to playing all of that on one string. There's just a little more of a leverage that way. But let's hear what it would sound like if we take this funk groove and incorporate the fill we've learned. Okay, cool. Starting to sound fairly musical, right? Now, that might take some time practicing that, getting that locked in and feeling good. And that's a perfect place to even just stop. But if you want to take it one more level and really develop some comfort with this idea and be able to incorporate it into a lot of contexts, what you can do as a final step is you can actually change which note of the scale you're starting on. You can start this on any note of the scale, and it's going to sound all right. So a good exercise to address this is simply to descend through the scale, starting on, I actually like to start up on the third just to get kind of further up the fretboard. So starting on the third, an octave above, doing the fill there. Then the second, an octave above, aka the ninth, do a fill there. The octave, the seventh, the sixth, the fifth, and kind of descend through the scale. Let me show you what this would sound like if we put it all together. Here we go. So we've gone all the way down the scale. You could, of course, also do this as an ascending idea. You get the idea. And that would be another piece of vocab. And you can mix and match. Now, with all this, you can do this with any scale, any kind of chord. And here's where the ear training comes in. If you do this with different scales and you sit with each one for a little bit, you'll actually start to really get the sound of the differences in your ear. So, as an example, this is the natural minor scale. And let's say you spent a week practicing this, and then you spent a week practicing the same thing, but with the Phrygian scale. So a flat second. Same scale with one note being different. If you were to do that, I bet at the end of those 2 weeks, you would actually start to be able to hear and identify the difference between a natural second and the flat second. And you could maybe even begin to improvise, knowing as you're playing, I want the sound of the flat second, or I want the sound of the natural second. And that goes for all of the scales and all the differences between them. This is a way to get really acquainted with the specific sound of each one in a way that doesn't always happen if you're just playing up and down. So this covers a lot of ground. Take it, play it, let me know what you like, where you run into roadblocks and how you get around them. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.